After Kareem Hunt's fumble to start the fourth quarter, the Chiefs were in a tough spot. They were down 20-9 in the fourth quarter. The Colts had the ball. And from that point, Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs defense absolutely shut down the vaunted Colts offense. 4 drives, 12 plays, no first downs to end the game. This allowed the Chiefs to get back in the game and ultimately win in overtime. So let's take a look at those 12 plays. What did the Chiefs do to completely shut down the Colts and change the script of this game? We're going to start with 14:48 to go in the fourth quarter. So this is the first down play. The Colts have the ball at their own 6-yard line. We've got Daniel Jones. He's got 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, and Taylor in the backfield. Taylor gets the handoff and gets absolutely stuffed for a loss of 2 yards. So let's see what goes on in this play. And we really have to start when evaluating the beginning of this play with the performances of Chris Jones and Drew Tranquill on this play. So as we mentioned, the Colts come out in a pretty big lineup here. There are 2 tight ends, 1 running back. That gets you 12 personnel. And we've got 2 wide receivers starting out lined up on the right. Now they motion their slot guy over to the left to try to help shift the defense over. And they trying to run this back over to the right. So this is the gap they're trying to hit here. It was a poor drawing, but they're trying to go in between the guard and tackle right here on the right side. So let's start by looking at Drew Tranquill. And honestly, if you look right at the snap, there are 2 people that are moving forward immediately at the snap of the ball. And that's Chris Jones and Drew Tranquill. So it's no surprise that those are the guys that end up being the most impactful in stopping this run play. The first is Tranquill, who this is his gap. This is his gap between the guard and the center on this play. And he's not just waiting, he's immediately keying off here. He saw his keys, he feels confident about the run with this down and distance, down 11 early in the fourth quarter, backed up Colts. They're going to try to run clock. He sees his keys from the lineman teeing off, and he feels good. And who knows, maybe Spags actually called a run blitz here, so maybe I'm giving Tranquill a little too much credit. But in any case, he fires off immediately and goes straight into his gap. He's not waiting, he's penetrating. And look at him, he's already crossed the line of scrimmage as Taylor is getting the ball. He's right there to meet him. Taylor has absolutely no hope of running this where the play is designed, and he immediately has to cut it back. Well, there isn't a great option to cut it back, and that's because of the performance of this other guy, Chris Jones. Look at Chris Jones off the snap. His get-off, amazing on this play. And look at him just take the tackle on this side and push him right back into the backfield. Just completely blowing up any option that Taylor would have of cutting this run back when Drew Tranquill has cut off the front side. So the combination of Drew Tranquill shooting the gap, whether that was a called run blitz from Spags or him just not being willing to wait, being confident in the run on that play, and then Chris Jones just immediately moving the tackle right into the backfield. Taylor has absolutely nowhere to go. Tranquill pursues, and then we should give some credit to Bolton too, who also keys in, not nearly as fast as Tranquill, but he also shoots a gap and is there to help Tranquill clean it up at the end. So the play has no hope to start. So we'll look at it from the end zone view. And again, remember, this is where the run is designed to come through, right here. So you can see at the snap, right here, look at Tranquill just immediately. He's firing right into this gap. No hesitation, no doubt. He's going. And again, right there in the backfield as Taylor gets the ball. And then on this side, if you see, Chris Jones takes the tackle, brushes by Quentin Nelson, the guard, and drives the tackle right into the backfield, meaning that there's no chance of a quick cut back. Instead, Taylor has to bow it around, and that gives Bolton a chance as he's shooting his gap to come and pursue. They clean this play up. Quick loss, already behind the sticks on the first play. All right, so let's go to second down now. 2nd and 10, 2nd and really 12. 14-12 to go in the fourth quarter. Again, still 20-9 Colts. You got Daniel Jones in the shotgun with the running back at his side. He's got 2 to his left, 2 to his right. He takes a quick snap, pressure in his face. The ball's tipped to the line of scrimmage and falls incomplete. So, play 1 was aggressiveness, against the run, shooting gaps. Play 2 was messing with the offensive line's pass protection rules. So, Spags starts this up here. He's got 5 guys up on the line of scrimmage, right? He's got Chris Jones, Charles Omenihu, Leo Chenal, George Karlaftis, and Drew Tranquil. So the Chiefs are playing nickel, but they're playing their 3-3-5 nickel, where they have 3 down linemen, and Leo Chenal is in as the 3rd linebacker. So 3 linemen, 3 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs. So again, 5 on the line of scrimmage here, and they've kind of overloaded this side. So the Colts are going to send out the tight end and the running back in pass patterns immediately. Nobody's chipping, nobody's helping. So they essentially then commit to block these potential 5. 1, the left tackle's got Tranquil. Left guard has got Karlaftis. The center has gotten Chenal. The right guard has Omenihu. And then that leaves the right tackle one-on-one with Chris Jones. So they're essentially sliding left from here, and they're leaving the right tackle one-on-one with Chris Jones. The problem is the Chiefs drop out of this. This is actually a simulated pressure. So they've got 5 on the line. They only rush 4, but the 4th one is the nickel corner coming in on a slot blitz. So what does that mean? Since the line has slid left and you've got Chenal and Omenihu dropping out, you have the right guard and the center blocking air, right? The guys they had accounted for, they're not coming. The right tackle is occupied with Chris Jones, and nobody has Chris Rowan Wallace, right? Because the running back's going out in an immediate pattern. So Spags set it up to get a free rusher right off the bat. Now, the way he had everybody drop, so this is like pattern match coverage here. With the running back swinging out to the defense's right, he's got Omenihu and Chenal coming out to the right. So he's playing a numbers game here. You've got 3 eligible receivers, 1, 2, 3, and you've got 4 defenders on top of them. On this side, you have 2 eligible receivers, 3 defenders. So he's got 3 to cover 2 over here, and he's got 4 to cover 3 over here. So it makes it tough for Daniel Jones to get anything quick. And he needs something quick because he's got a free rusher. He actually tries to come quickly to Downs, who the Chiefs have 2 right over the top, but Roland Wallace tips this right at the line, the free rusher. Downs doesn't have a chance at it. If Bolton had turned his head, he could have had a chance at intercepting this. And if this ball had carried a little more, Cook was right there. So fortunately for the Colts, they didn't throw an interception here. But Spags really messed with the protection rules of the Colts here to get this rusher free. And then look at how well he had everything covered. When you got that free rusher, you just need to cover for a couple seconds. That's why you can have Chenal and even Omenihu out here covering. But they got the numbers, making sure that nobody can come open quickly. Ball has to be out fast. They had a route that was hot. They were able to get it quickly to Downs, but that was throwing right into the free rusher, Roland Wallace, who did a great job tipping this, harmlessly incomplete. So we can see this from the end zone view, and we can appreciate even further what the Chiefs were doing to the Colts' protection. So again, tight end is coming out immediately, running back's coming out immediately. So here are your 5 that are in pass protection. So with the Chiefs showing so many at the line, he's got Tranquil, he's got Karlaftis, center's got Chenal, right guard's got Omenihu, and we've got one-on-one right here. And then immediately at the snap, you get these 2 bailing. So as you see, assigned to nobody, assigned to nobody. This is the farthest most blocker on this side, and you've got free rusher coming off the edge. So Jones has to throw quickly, and Roland Wallace does a great job getting a hand on it, forcing the incompletion. So we jump to third down. We got 3rd and long. Again, same situation. Colts up 11 early in the fourth quarter. Daniel Jones is in the shotgun. 3 to his right, 1 to his left. Chiefs bring the house. Jones is backpedaling, tries to get it off to Downs, and can't throw it accurately. So we got a 3-play sequence here. Number 1 was, aggressive against the run. Number 2 was the crafty simulated pressure to confuse the protection. And number 3 from Spags was just, I'm bringing the house. Can you block us? So not too complicated here from Spags. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they all come. And so behind it, he essentially has just got man-to-man. Everybody's manned up over here. Connor's got the tight end. Cook will be responsible if the back comes out, and you got man-to-man right here. It's very simple. We're bringing 6. We've got 5 to cover your 5 eligible receivers. The back actually stays in pass protection, and so does the tight end. So really they end up with only 3 eligibles. Cook drops back to play deep safety because he doesn't have to worry about the running back. Shamari Connor comes underneath to try to stay underneath routes to try to rob right there to prevent a quick throw from Jones. So watch this in action from the Chiefs defense. Tranquil sets up in the A-gap. That's where the running back comes in to help out. You've got 2 routes over here. Roland Wallace and Pittman are staying on top of him. Connor decides to come underneath. So you can see him staying underneath, really at this point trying to prevent a quick throw. McDuffie's running with Pierce, and you've got Cook over the top. And so Jones dropping back, he's initially looking, you can see him looking left, and we can see it from the end zone cam. Look, so he starts at the middle and the safety, so he doesn't really look over to the left. He's on the safety in the middle of the field, comes back over to the right, and then he sees Downs. So that's kind of his progression. So he's kind of really wants Pierce on this side, looking, seeing what the safety's doing. He's got tight coverage over here, doesn't really have it. And then looking back over is when he catches right here. He catches Downs. And it's a good thing that, McDuffie was so sticky in coverage to start, because the blitz initially gets picked up pretty well. I mean, this is what you hope for when you've got 6 coming. I mean, they give Jones some time. He drops back, he hitches, he shuffles, and then throws. It's just that nobody popped open immediately until here he gets over to Downs and notices him. But by that time, he's already got a muddy pocket. And if you see his positioning when he has to throw this, he's falling back because Bolton's coming in at him. And that was the real benefit, one of the major benefits of Connor being here to mug things up. Although, as we established, Jones is more looking down the middle of the field. I mean, he's clearly not seeing this, right? Jones is starting on this side of the field. He's simultaneously looking at the safety and then checking out what's going on here inside the numbers. And he doesn't come off of that until about here, which is when he looks over at Downs. He comes to this side. So he's really hoping that Pierce is going to win one-on-one. So McDuffie's coverage was a huge part of why nothing happened here, because the Chiefs really didn't immediately break through. At the beginning, this was picked up pretty well, and then finally Bolton ultimately has to loop around. He kind of stunts around to get his pressure. At that point, he's looking over it by the time he gets to Downs, who, actually wins this route. It's hard in man-to-man when you have no middle of the field help that, there's nobody underneath. Somebody's running a crosser. It's hard to remain with somebody all the way across the field. So Downs does get open, but Jones isn't able to make an accurate throw. And you really credit this guy right here, McDuffie, because that was progression number 1 to Pierce over there. McDuffie was able to stay sticky in coverage. And by the time Jones came off of Pierce, it was too late. The pressure got there. So strategy number 3 was bringing the house. And you can see it from here. Tranquil ends up coming to the A-gap right there. They actually do like a mini stunt here where Tranquil tries to get to the inside shoulder of the guard, and then Karlaftis tries to loop around him. And I must say that the Colts line passed this off really well, because here Karlaftis tries to come in. The center does a great job coming here, closing this gap. And then Bolton just follows and loops around and ultimately gets the pressure that forces this throw incomplete. So again, we had 3 plays. We had 3 different strategies. Nice job by Spagnuolo here. The Chiefs had just lost a big fumble in the red zone. Gets his offense the ball back real quick. All right, well, now we got a ball game. Because after the Colts punted, the Chiefs went down, scored a touchdown, and got a 2-point conversion. It's 20-17 Colts now with 8:31 to go in the fourth quarter. They set up shop with a 1st and 10 at their own 33-yard line. So it went from the Colts having kind of everything looking up for them. They were up 11 to start the fourth quarter, getting the ball off a turnover. Suddenly, we're not even halfway through the fourth quarter, and it's a 3-point game. The Colts have the ball again. Daniel Jones is under center here. He's got 3 to his left, 1 to his right. Takes a snap, fakes a handoff, and bootleg left. He throws it left to Pittman, who's not able to make the catch. Incomplete on first down. So, last first down, we saw that the Chiefs keyed really heavy against the run. The Colts come out in another heavy set. They've got 2 tight ends on the field again. So 1 running back, 2 tight ends, that's 12 personnel. The Chiefs are actually still just in their nickel. And this time they don't have Chanel, so they've got 4 down linemen here. And their linebackers are Bolton and Tranquil, and then they've got 5 defensive backs. So even though the Colts go 12 and they've been running it so much, the Chiefs actually go in their nickel to try to defend the run. Well, we know that there were shooting gaps last time, so the Colts decide to run a bootleg. So they run a play action here, and then they get Pittman to come up and run out. They get the tight end to come up, and then Pierce is coming across the formation here. They're trying to take advantage of how aggressively the Chiefs are coming after the run. And you can see everybody coming in on their run fits. You see on the backside, Jalen Watson coming in. You see Connor, Bolton, Tranquil. You see Hicks coming down on this side. Really the only people that are kind of left out in coverage initially are McDuffie running with Pierce, and you've got Cook over here. McDuffie seems like he's playing like man outside and deep, so right when Pierce runs his crosser, McDuffie comes off and passes that off. Hicks actually isn't able to run with the crosser because he drove so aggressively down the field that Pierce ran right by him across the field. But fortunately, as Bolton comes across, he recognizes that it's play action and peels back, and he manages to stay underneath the Pierce route here, preventing like a big easy shot from Daniel Jones over the middle. Connor does a good job as he comes up engaging the tight end, but Watson has lost Pierce. Cook recognizes this and stays over the top of it. Sorry, this isn't Pierce, this is Pittman. So Cook stays over the top of Pittman. Jones gets the throw off, and Cook just does a great job. You see his right hand here. He just takes this, comes over, and gets the ball and knocks it out. It's a really good defensive play from Brian Cook here. So, good idea from the Colts. Good play design from Shane Steichen. They got Pittman open. They got Pierce running across, although it was a little congested, and Bolton managed to stay underneath it. Got Jones on the move. I mean, accurate throw, got, what would have been a nice 8-yard gain to start, but a great individual effort from Brian Cook ultimately breaks this up. So you can see it here. Look at the flow. And look at Hicks coming down. The Chiefs initially, really committed hard to the run that they have statistically not done well against play action so far this year. But then look at Bolton doing a great job staying underneath Pierce as Hicks struggles to catch up. Jones gets this throw over, and then really, again, great individual effort here by Brian Cook. Look at him come in and get that ball. Amazing. Great pass breakup there. Forces a 2nd and 10 instead of a 2nd and about 2. So now we jump to the second down play. So first down on this drive, really, they had a nice play set up to kind of counter the Chiefs' tendencies on first down going after the run. But an individual effort from Brian Cook broke that play up. Now on second down, we've got Jones in the shotgun, 2 to his right, 2 to his left. Fakes a handoff, drops back and throws a screen left. Jonathan Taylor in the open field ultimately gets tackled after a gain of about 7. So again, this was a good play. They had a good play set up here. They, again, are in 12. 12 personnel, meaning 1 running back and 2 tight ends. Gets you 12 personnel. That gives you 2 wide receivers over here. And again, even in the heavy personnel, the Chiefs are playing their nickel. They're getting 5 defensive backs on the field. They've got Tranquil and Bolton. And they do put Mike Pennell in there, so he's kind of there. And then Mike Dana's over here. So these are both good run-defending defensive linemen. And then they've got Chris Jones and Ashton Gelati. So the Colts are setting up a screen. The line does a good job of letting people in. And the screen is a good call here because the Chiefs are again rushing 6. So we've got a blitz here. We've got Tranquil blitzing here. So 6 people are committed. The Colts do a good job of slowly letting them in. Look at the development here. Jones isn't under too much pressure. And look at what they've got set up. They've got 2 blockers out here with 2 defenders out here. Jonathan Taylor, one of the best guys in the open field in the league right now. And this play, if executed correctly from this point, could really lead to something big here. Taylor is forced to cut inside initially because Big Mike Pennell is proving pretty hard to move here. That's a step number 1, because if Taylor's able to bring this up behind, they can really set up these blocks. But Pennell is making himself hard to move. Taylor has to cut back inside. And then great pursuit here from Hicks. Hicks does such a great job flying downhill here. As he comes up, Taylor is now going to try to come back and use his blocks. But this is where the other major individual effort. So you got from Pennell kind of forcing this back inside initially. Hicks coming in, not allowing Taylor to just run free down the middle of the field. And then Bolton slipping the block here, slides past the block. Taylor cuts back outside, and then Cook beats his block here too to limit this play, which really looked like initially when he first caught this pass, I was like, oh boy. You know, we've already lost 6 guys gone, so we've only got 5 in the back now protecting. Well, I guess he's the 6th. So 5 guys gone. But really, you know, he's being blocked, so he's out of the play. You got these 4, and now you've got 2 blockers coming up. If he can get his convoy going. But great job by everyone involved here. Pennell, this was really good, and getting him to cut back in. Hicks coming in to make sure there wasn't like a massive lane down the middle. And then watch Bolton just beat this block. Beat the block. You cut it outside. Cook beats his block too. Again, just great individual efforts here to limit what could have been a big gain here on a good play call, again, to something more manageable for the Chiefs. So again, the Chiefs are coming. Tranquil's going to come. And you're going to get a blitz from the outside too, from the slot. So here comes Connor. And the Colts do a good job of, they don't let the pressure in immediately, but they also let them in to run them out of the play. And Pinnell, again, great job engaging here and making this difficult. Anything you can do to slow things down gives your pursuit a chance here. And the Chiefs just stayed so disciplined with, everybody's lanes. Nobody getting too far out of position here. Everybody kind of keeping gaps here to make sure that they don't give a wide open lane for Taylor. And then look, Quentin Nelson, considered one of the best linemen in the league. Bolton just beat him in open space. Cook did a good job of winning and getting past his block. Great job by the defense there. We've got 2 plays in a row now on this drive where the Colts really had good plays set up for the Chiefs defense, and just the effort and the savvy from the defensive players ended up making this a manageable situation. Now it's a 3rd and short. All right, we jump to the 3rd down play, and this is one of the most interesting plays to me. We'll break it down in just a second, but this is gotta have a time for the Colts, right? You go from being in a hugely advantageous position, up 11, dominating the game, got the ball to start the quarter. Now we're just over halfway into the quarter. You're only up 3. You've got a 3rd down. You've had 5 straight unsuccessful plays offensively. You're just trying to keep the chains moving, keep the clock moving. Gotta have this one. You got Daniel Jones in the shotgun, 2 to the right, 2 to the left. They motion the running back out to the right. Chiefs look like they're confused, bringing Hicks back over into the slot. Jones takes a snap. He's rushed, throws an incomplete pass, and now, as a Colts fan, you're really worried. About to give the ball back to the Chiefs, who are only down 3. You've been dominating this game, and suddenly the Chiefs have a chance to tie or take the lead. All right, so like I said, there's a lot to break down here. This is a very interesting play. And we're going to start by right here. With this motion, it looks like the Chiefs think that the snap is coming, right? Now, look at what the Chiefs are showing here. They've got Tranquil coming in here, Connor coming in here. So it looks like that they're setting up, and you see Bolton looks like he's coming to, get ready to adjust over to the running back. So it looks like he's in coverage. You've got Blitzer, right? Now there's some confusion. You've got McDuffie coming out here yelling at Jaden Hicks like, hey, as you can see, Connor's coming from here. There's nobody over the top there. Motioning him to come back over. Hicks runs over, stays over the top. And then look what actually happens. Bolton blitzes and Connor blitzes, and Tranquil is the one that takes the running back. So they did all that show at the beginning. Okay, no, we're not. The Colts line gets ready, and so since they're ready, this guard is looking for Tranquil. The tackle's coming out here. The center's got Chris Jones. You've got Omenahue here. And then the tackle actually takes Connor, and they let Karlaftis go free. So watch the line. You see the center is coming for Tranquil. They're coming for Jones. Guard's looking for Tranquil. Tranquil's not rushing. So the guard's blocking air as the tackle takes Gelati. On this side, you've got the guard getting Omenahue. The tackle gets Connor, and Karlaftis comes free, right? The guy who's not accounted for is the guy in the middle here, Nick Bolton. So Nick Bolton actually comes free right through the A-gap, the worst place to allow a rusher, and Daniel Jones has no chance. He's just got to get this ball off immediately. So with this kind of fake blitz situation here, them thinking the Tranquil's coming, they account for Tranquil. Nobody accounts for Bolton. His initial thing is he's kind of sliding over to the side. He ends up lining up in the most dangerous position right in the A-gap and coming through completely free because they haven't accounted for him. And Daniel Jones, it's so hard. When you have a free rusher to the A-gap, that's suicide. That's a real bad situation. He's just trying to get this ball off as quick as he can and can't throw it accurately to Pittman as he's extremely hurried on this throw. So we'll see it again here. This is the right here. We've got Hicks running over. This is where the snap. Okay, boom. So it looks like we've got Tranquil coming here. Connor coming here, Bolton not blitzing. So again, how do they line this up? You're going to block him. You're going to block him. You're going to get Jones. You're going to get Tranquil. You're going to get Ashton Gelati. And so the free guy they think they're leaving is here on the end, right? If you're going to leave someone free, you want to leave them as far away from the quarterback. But then at the snap, Bolton ends up rushing right in the A gap, and this is where you don't want to let somebody free. The center is ready for Chris Jones. He's not aware of Bolton rushing right up the gut, and Daniel Jones has no chance. Now, the part that doesn't seem to be part of the deception, it's hard to tell, obviously not knowing. I think Hicks actually just messed up from the coverage standpoint, and McDuffie's just like, hey, get over here. Because if the plan is to blitz Connor, like if they had snapped the ball right here with the running back moving over it, like the Chiefs would have been in real trouble, right? There's literally nobody here to guard him. Like he's gone, right? So I think this was just an error that McDuffie's like, hey, what are you doing? Like, let's get on the same page, and he gets over the top. I think. I mean, it seems like the actions of, really Tranquil versus Bolton were actually deception, unless they did like a quick check that's kind of imperceptible here on the... Like, Bolton does seem to communicate something over here. So I wonder if that's what the communication was, is that, all right, we're going to switch this up and I'm going to blitz now. Which is possible. Like, it's possible that this was actually what they were going to do. And then, although again, like if this is what they were going to do, he's wide open. So it doesn't seem like Hicks should be here. Like this actually seems like a mistake. But from, these three, it's possible that they were actually going to do this blitz of Connor and Tranquil, and then they decide, and maybe although Bolton came over here, so I can't really see what the plan was for him. So I do think Hicks had a mistake, and it's possible that these guys underneath, like this is their communication now. Okay, we're changing it. Now you get the running back, and we're gonna blitz. That's certainly possible. On the bottom side, you see some communication over here too. You've got Cook over the top of the slot, Watson here, and Cook's clearly telling Watson, like, no, you take the slot, I'm going to take outside. And they switch there. And I don't know what prompted Hicks to come over here. I mean, the running back motion, I guess, but it does seem like Hicks was just wrong here and that McDuffie corrected him. But in any case, the magic here really was the Colts, based on the first action, thinking the Chiefs were going to blitz a certain way, ultimately sending Bolton free through the A-gap, leaving no chance for this play to work. Well, the Chiefs couldn't do anything with their offensive drive. They ended up going three and out disastrously in punting, so the Colts again get the ball back. Up 20-17, 5:45 to go in the game. Chance to ice it here, and they're starting at their own 49-yard line with a 1st and 10. Daniel Jones is in the pistol. He's got 2 to his right, 1 to his left, and then they motion Warren, so they got a 3-by-1 formation. He drops back to throw, throws right, and really should have been intercepted there. Connor and Bolton run into each other. Connor really looks like he would have had that pick. So let's see what Spags did here. Now, if you're Shane Steichen, you're in that situation where we showed on the first drive, Chiefs were really keying against the run. The second drive, he tried to take advantage of that, run a bootleg. It didn't work on 1st down. So, you feel like the other team's really keying on the run. Maybe I won't just run it on 1st down again, get a gain of 1 or, loss of 1 and end up in 2nd and long. Let's just start by throwing the ball here. And I feel like Steichen got a lot of criticism for not, kind of going away from the run, but it wasn't working at this point in the 4th quarter. And they're really at a point where he can't afford to put his quarterback in these 2nd or 3rd and long situations. So I kind of understand why he came out throwing on this one. And they motion over to a 3-by-1. So what they're really doing is they're running off this corner, they're running him over here, and then they're trying to get the tight end on an out route. So hopefully run off the defenders that are capping everything, create a little bit of a void. Then you get the tight end on the out route here. He's staying in the block and releasing late. So what the Chiefs are doing, this is looks like they're running quarters principles, and we don't have to get into all the nitty gritties of how this works, but with these pattern match situations, it's essentially they're a set of rules that they're following, and it eventually converts to man, depending but who covers who is a little based on what the route combinations here. So we won't get too deep into the weeds about what everybody's responsibility is, but what it looks like here is that Trent McDuffie is essentially man-to-man here. The only situation in which he may not cover this guy man-to-man is if he comes immediately underneath, he might pass that route off. And we saw that happen on an earlier play in this film review. So when he runs off, Trent McDuffie is just running with him. You can see that. There you go. Connor here is responsible for the vertical of this guy here. So he's staying over the top of this route initially. Now, a modification that the Chiefs have done, typically he would just be on top of him throughout. But what the Chiefs have modified here, because this is a 3x1, normally if you have a 2x2 set, Brian Cook would be doing the same thing to the inside receiver over here that Connor's supposed to do to the second receiver over here. You just stay over the top, any top route, make sure that they're not going to beat you deep. But since there isn't a second receiver over here, sometimes modifications that people make is they will have this defender come over and help on the heavier side. And so that's what they did. And Connor identifies that, okay, this looks like it's going to be the deepest route. He's going toward the middle. I have help over here. And so then Connor keeps his head on a swivel. And when he sees the underneath route, that they're really trying to clear him out here, right? You're trying to clear him out, But he knows he's got the help because since there was only one different receiver on this side and he ended up staying in late, Cook doesn't need to be wasted over here staying on the top of anything on that side. So instead, Cook smartly comes over to the middle to help out on the heavier side. And as Connor sees he's got help over the top, then when he sees this route breaking out, he's like, I can come down and jump this. Jones is not expecting that. Connor comes to jump this. And this really, had Bolton had a pretty good coverage here, which is surprising that he was able to stick with Warren like this because, Warren's a good tight end. But if Bolton didn't have such good coverage here, this is probably a pick six for Connor. He's right here. He's basically just got to get by one guy that is a threat to catch him, right? This is offensive lineman and quarterback and a tight end, that they're not going to catch him. So this really could have been a pick six, but unfortunately Connor and Bolton run into each other and not able to get the interception. But it's a really good job by Connor here, recognizing he's got help over the top, that Warren is a big target for the Colts. They have not done stuff offensively. Nice idea to go to your tight end that's extremely productive. He sees the route combination and jumps it. Great play there by Connor. If you see it from the end zone view, you're not able to see the route combination as well, but you can see Bolton is there actually in position. I mean, Warren would have caught this still if with Bolton in coverage, but Connor was right there, and who knows, maybe he would have dropped it, but would have been nice if he could hang on to that. That really likely could have been a pick six. All right, so now we got 2nd and 10. Again, Colts up 3, under 6 minutes to go in the game, trying to get anything going offensively. They've had 2 straight 3-and-outs. They're trying to find some way to get the ball moving here. Even, points here, probably end the game if they can score a touchdown. So we've got Jones in the shotgun. He's got 3 to his left, 1 to his right. And they motion downs over from left to right, creating a 2x2 situation. Jones drops back. He throws left. Pass is incomplete. Hicks was there in coverage. Let's see what happened on this one. So after the motion here, you've got the Colts set up. They've got one running back and one tight end. So they've got lighter personnel in here than they have been showing for most of the game. The Chiefs remain in their nickel, which is what they were doing even when there were two tight ends on the field. So here, one running back, one tight end, that's 11. But the Chiefs are in nickel, as you would typically expect in this situation. The Chiefs don't do anything fancy with their pass rush here. They've got Tranquil responsible here. Everybody's just manned up. We've got man-to-man, man-to-man, man-to-man. This is your standard covered one, right? You got one deep defender, Brian Cook, one underneath robber, Nick Bolton, who can also kind of serve as a spy. But that's it. Like, you just have that one zone guy underneath, one deep zone, and then everybody else is manned up. Tranquil on the running back, man-to-man, man-to-man. And since they started from a too high look, Hicks has a little bit of ground to cover to get to the tight end. And this route combination takes advantage of that. You've got Pittman coming up the field, and then Tyler Warren's running a quick out. And you really see the ID here from Hicks. Hicks at the snap gets a good jump to come downhill. He sees the outbreak, and look at how quickly he decides whether that's ball's going to be thrown or not. Look at him being like, oh, he's breaking out, or he realizes it right here. Look at him just flying downhill. I mean, it's that level of commitment that it requires when you're that deep down the field and you have to cover an outbreaking route like that. Look at him, right when he sees the outbreak, he goes 100 miles an hour, manages to undercut, does a great job. I don't know that he actually got his hand on there, but look at how tight he made that window, how difficult he made that catch for Warren. I think the ball went off of Warren's hands here, but in any case, he did a great job closing that gap and making it a very difficult catch for Warren. We might be able to see better from this view what happened with the actual ball. He closes. Yeah, that was off of Warren's hand right there. But look at the size of that window. Hicks did a great job coming downhill. Warren can feel his presence, not able to make the catch. Again, great individual effort there. Spags changed it up here. He didn't blitz, just playing a much more standard defense. The Colts, initially were looking for Taylor. Then they were trying to get, take advantage of those run actions with screens and bootlegs of the run commitment from the Chiefs defense. Now they're really prioritizing getting the ball to Warren. Their guy that we need some yards, and the Chiefs aren't letting them do that either. As the Colts strategy changes, the Chiefs continue to find ways to step up, whether that be by confusing protections, getting blitzers in, or just great individual efforts from defenders, and we saw one here from Jaden Hicks. He really seems to be extremely effective coming downhill, reminiscent of Justin Reed. When he puts his foot in the ground and comes up toward the line of scrimmage, good things happen. Now we're at third down, and the Colts have not been able to take time off the clock. They haven't been able to threaten the Chiefs at all. They're on the verge of a third straight 3 and out, trying to come up with a play here to prevent that from happening. We've got Daniel Jones in the shotgun with Taylor to his right. He's got bunch trips to the right, one to the left, but they motion Pittman over to make a 2-by-2 formation. Jones takes the snap. He throws complete to Pittman, who gets tackled after a gain of about 5 or 6, leading to fourth down. All right, so what did the Chiefs defense try to do here? Again, the Colts are back in 11 personnel. One running back, Jonathan Taylor, and then their tight end. Oops, sorry. Is that Warren up there? I can't tell which one's 14 and which one's 84. That is Warren up there. So, running back, tight end, that's 11 personnel. Again, the Chiefs are this time in their 3-3-5 nickel. So 1, 2, 3 down linemen, 1, 2, 3 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs. They're going again with the bring the house strategy. They're going to blitz and rush 6, so all 6 of these guys are coming. So on the back end, they've got man-to-man, man-to-man. He's going to be responsible for the running back. He's responsible for the slot here. And then we've got one-on-one with the tight end on the outside. And so here the Colts are running in-breaking routes. This is a good strategy on what really is a cover zero blitz, but since the running back stays in, Brian Cook doesn't have any responsibility, so he becomes the single high safety here. So theoretically, like if the running back were to come out on a pass pattern, this is cover zero. He's responsible for that running back. There's nobody in the middle of the field. So it's nice to, run in breaking routes here, because the idea being that if it's hard to, especially in the slot, you got to cover every direction. You see Hicks right here is playing off. So they got Pittman running an in-breaking route here. You break a tackle and you have a chance to go. But again, Hicks, this is his forte. When Hicks is on top of a receiver and he's able to come downhill, he's just such a decisive and aggressive downhill player, and comes in, makes the tackle. Cook did a good job of circling back and coming on top of that too. But that throw short of the sticks, you're hoping for some yards after the catch. No chance here. Sniffs it out immediately, and that's that. Again, the Spags really changed things a lot. When it goes from pressure to no pressure, different situations. On these key downs, he seems to like to bring 6 against Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones struggles when sped up here, gets the throw off. This is a good decision here. Hopefully, for your sake, and get a guy to break a tackle. It's tough when you have the guy in the middle of the field here. It's throwing that far short of the sticks. It makes it unlikely that you're going to be able to get it because the running back is staying in, but it's not like he's got any other option. He's basically got another. I will say they picked up the blitz pretty well. So maybe he could have hung in there for a beat longer and hoped that somebody else would come open, but he didn't really have a lot of options. The Chiefs sent the house, gave his guy a chance, couldn't break this tackle, had Cook over the top, and the Chiefs again got themselves in a good position here, forcing a 3 and out. So again, you see the blitz, again, picked up pretty well, right? You got it picked up across the board. But I think, too, at this point, Jones is he's had too many free rushers coming into his face. He's had too much pressure on the last couple of drives. He's really sped up. He's not really in a position where he wants to hang in there. And the pocket is collapsing. And as we saw from the other view, it's not like he had a ton of options yet. Good tackle from Hicks, forcing the 3 and out. All right, so now we're in overtime. It's a 2020 game. The Colts had 3 drives in the fourth quarter, 3 3-and-outs. They decide to take the ball in overtime. To start overtime, they've got a 1st and 10 at their own 33-yard line, knowing that if they don't score on this drive, the Chiefs can win it with a field goal. We've got Daniel Jones in the pistol. He's got 2 to his left, 2 to his right. They move Jonathan Taylor over sidecar, so it's like a typical shotgun. He fakes a handoff, throws out to the left. Tight end gets tackled quickly for a short gain. Now, this is a pretty interesting play. So, to start, they've got things set up on both sides. And this is an RPO, right? So, you can tell because the line is run blocking right there. And, they're set up on this side as if it's a run. You've got the tight end, the sniffer going across to block the end. Everybody else blocked up. This is set up like a run on this side. And on the left side, you have 2 guys leaking out in pass patterns. You've got Pittman and the tight end. They're making themselves available quickly because if you remember, when the line is run blocking, they can't be more than a yard downfield before the pass is thrown if you end up throwing it, and the offensive linemen don't know if you're going to run or throw. They're blocking as if you're going to run. So essentially, if you're going to throw, you got to throw right now. Otherwise, the RPO is going to result in an ineligible man downfield. So this is a great play. Why is this such a great play call? because Steve Spagnuolo has a tendency where when you have receivers in condensed splits, what does that mean? Condensed splits are when your receivers are in close to the offensive line, not lined up out here like near the sideline. So you condense everything in, you bring your formations inside. When you have these condensed sets by receivers, in big moments, especially later in games, Steve Spagnuolo loves to blitz his corners. And so this is a great thought process from Shane Steichen on this play. He's running an RPO, and it's basically, hey, look, if Spags does what we think he's going to do, which is blitz the corner, then we're going to have numbers out here and we can throw it. So Daniel Jones essentially just has to read whether there's a blitz. If there's a blitz, hang on to this ball, throw it. If there wasn't a blitz, my guess is he would have just handed this ball off. It's a great job of using the Chiefs' tendencies against them. I only have one critique of this play, and that is I feel like Steichen did a little bit too much. What I mean by that is it's great. You've got it set up so you've got to throw right behind the blitz from the condensed set. It's just that I don't know why he had both receivers be eligible here. In that, what's wrong with it? I mean, eligible is the wrong term, but both receivers thinking that they could be receiving the pass in the situation. What's wrong with that is, if you notice, Pittman and the tight end, I think that's Moali Cox, are both looking back for the ball. The ball goes to Moali Cox. But since Pittman's looking back for the ball, he doesn't know where Brian Cook is. And by the time he turns around to block Brian Cook has already out-leveraged him, got around him, and he's able to make the tackle. Now, what if you design this play such that if we throw this RPO, it's going to you. Your only job is going to be to block. So to start, now he's going to have to look back anyway because he's going to have to know when the pass is thrown so he can start blocking, right? You can't block until the ball is thrown here. You'll get offensive pass interference. But he certainly wouldn't be stopping like this as if he's like waiting for a pass. He would have at least been scouting out, trying to get some awareness of where this defender is. And since if Pittman knows when this snap is taken that I am not getting the ball, then he can have a chance to identify Cook. Now, the Chiefs' defensive backs, and Brian Cook in particular, are very good at slipping receiver blocks and making tackles anyway, but this was too easy for Cook. Because Pittman was spent so long looking for the ball, he doesn't start looking for Cook until right here. And it's too easy for Cook to get around and make the tackle. So that's my only critique here. But again, it's a situation where Steichen, this is the third time in this film review, we're like, you know what? Shane Steichen had a good call for the situation and an individual effort by a Chiefs player. And this is the second time that Brian Cook made it so. Even though the play call was right, it ultimately was wrong because the Chiefs player blew it up. Let's see if we're going to get over. So you can see here, by the time Pittman's coming after Cook is out level. Like he's not going to catch him. He's gotten out wide. Pittman can't wheel around and get to him. Cook makes a sure tackle. Short gain on first down. All right, still in overtime here. We've got second and about 6 for the Colts at their own 37-yard line. Got Daniel Jones under center. Motions downs over, so he's got 2x2. Hands off to Jonathan Taylor. Breaks a tackle, kind of squirts forward, gets pretty close to the first down marker. So this was another play. This was one that the Chiefs really should have had stacked up, and unfortunately, Taylor, being the quality running back that he is, managed to get a little more out of this. So here they've got a run designed to the right, and the Chiefs do a pretty good job of plugging all the gaps. So they've got Warren coming in here, and you see Bolton filling here, which is the primary gap where Taylor wants to go. And so he works then back to gap number 2 that Jaden Hicks comes in and fills. So Jaden Hicks did a great job on this one. We've got Bolton filling here, and Hicks kind of played it from this side, initially flashed here and then cut back, and then kind of slowly worked over into the gap that Taylor ended up choosing. The one mistake that Hicks made is he didn't wrap up. And when, he went low, which is great, but when you have a running back of the quality of Taylor and you don't wrap up, he keeps those legs moving. Fortunately, Bolton and Watson were alert. They ended up limiting this to, about a 5-yard gain instead of something more. But this run easily could have and probably should have been stuffed for a maximum 1-yard gain, giving a 3rd and about 5, but instead we end up in like a 3rd and 1 situation. But again, the Chiefs really keying on the run, and you can see how well they covered this. So here you see Bolton getting this front side gap right here. Hicks is here on the back side, the cut back gap, right? And then as Taylor kind of progresses, he turns down this gap because of Bolton. Hicks makes sure he's not going to give a big cutback lane, and then as Taylor commits, Hicks goes to fill, and he's right there. He hits him low, but look at his hands. He doesn't wrap up, and Taylor keeps his balance. And now look at Bolton's hands. Bolton wraps up, and of course he had Watson coming high as well, but wrapped up, brought him down. So really the best 3rd down situation the Colts have had in a while, 3rd and about 1 here. Now the last Colts offensive play of the game, they've got a 3rd and 1 in overtime, in a position where you really feel like they're going to go for it on 4th down. And so as we say a lot, when you're going to go for it on 4th down, a lot of times teams will run it on 3rd and short to, you already know you're going for it either way, get a chance to get it with the run or close the distance, so maybe you could, sneak or get a run on 4th down. Well, let's take a look at what happens here. We've got the Colts in the shotgun. Jones has got 3 to his left, 1 to his right. He hands it off to Jonathan Taylor, who's absolutely stuffed in the backfield. Worst case scenario for the Colts here, because now they're at 4th and 3, and really watching this live, immediately you knew they're not going to go for this one. I think they did come up to the line to try to draw the Chiefs off sides, but you knew in their own territory, once it went to about 4th and 3, they were probably going to punt, and that's what happened. And we're going to cap this film review off the same way we started it, with Drew Tranquill shooting a gap and Chris Jones winning to stuff a run play. And again, the aggressiveness with which Drew Tranquill decides he's going to shoot the gap here. He's going to sell out against the run, flies right through. And again, Taylor must have got tired in the 4th quarter overtime, just like, why when I'm getting the ball am I seeing Drew Tranquill in my face past all of my blockers, just immediately there to take me down. And again, this time it wasn't, it was a quick get off from Chris Jones because he's got a great get off, but it was that swim move. Look at the swim move he puts on the center right here. Boom, gets right around him, right in the backfield. And this is so smart strategically for the Chiefs because, like I said, they're going to go for it on 4th down. So what's the way to prevent that? You need a negative play here. And Bolton just committing, going in and getting it. Great individual effort here. I call him Bolton. I think I said Nick earlier, and I call him Bolton now. This is Tranquill. And going in there, making the play. The Chiefs' defense came up big in so many different ways in this game. Let's just watch this from the end zone view again and look at Tranquill. So first of all, the quick get off and swim move from Chris Jones, and then Tranquill is just going to come in, fire through the gap, immediately there. 4th down, the Colts end up punting, and the Chiefs come down to kick the game-winning field goal and take this game. But Spagnuolo and the defense stepped up, 4 straight drives, all 4 3-and-outs. Chiefs went from down 20-9 to winning this game 23-20 in overtime. This is the time of year for the Spagnuolo defense. We've talked about it on the podcast. They get things together in November. right in time for the playoff run. This is a great sign. You know, it reminds me back in the first Chiefs Super Bowl run of the Mahomes era in 2019. It was that game in Mexico City against the Chargers where the defense started to look like they were getting things together. It was in a similar time. I think it was the 11th game of the year for then too. We were 6-4 and we went to Mexico City and beat the Chargers. The defense started looking good. This seems like that kind of game, you know. This might be a turning point for the defense. Now, they've had moments so far this year, but this is the first time they really felt like the defense from the last couple years where they were coming through in clutch situations. The blitzes were right. They're confusing the protections correctly, getting free rushers. They hadn't really had a game like this since we beat Baltimore in, what was that, week 4. So, looking good. It looks like the defense might be turning this around, and Mahomes played well in the fourth quarter and overtime. Maybe this team is turning it around right here.